Beneath the Silence. Part 1. The visit. It had been almost 6 years since I'd last seen Ethan Cole. After finishing graduate school, he'd moved back to the small coastal town of Ravenshire. And my sister, his mother, kept insisting I should stop by. "He misses you, Clara," she said over the phone one Sunday. "He's changed so much. You'll see." That Saturday, I baked my usual cinnamon bread, the one Ethan loved as a kid, and drove across town. The autumn air shimmered gold and copper, the kind of day that looks beautiful but carries a whisper. Something about endings. Ethan's new place was a small brick apartment near the old harbor. The faint smell of salt and cedar drifted through the narrow halls. When he opened the door, I froze for a second. He wasn't the boy I remembered. He was taller, calmer, with the same gray-green eyes as his father. But there was something else there, too. "A quiet wait, Aunt Clara," he said, smiling. "You look exactly the same," I laughed. "You always say that when you want something. Maybe I just mean it this time." He pulled me into a hug that lingered one heartbeat too long. For a fleeting moment, I caught the scent of cedar and coffee and something faintly metallic, like rain on iron. Inside, the apartment was neat, almost too neat. Books stacked in perfect order, curtains drawn just enough to keep the sunlight out. It felt both lived in and guarded. We talked easily at first, his new job at the university, my garden, the bakery on Main Street. But beneath the small talk, there was a rhythm I couldn't name. He watched me more than he used to, his gaze deliberate, as if he were reading between my words. "Do you ever think about how time sneaks up on you?" he asked suddenly. I smiled. "Every day. One minute you're a kid throwing stones in the lake, the next you're this." He gestured lightly toward me, half teasing, half serious. "Old?" I laughed. "Wise," he said softly. Something about his tone made my throat tighten. He hesitated, then leaned forward. "Do you ever regret not having kids?" The question struck deeper than I expected. "I used to," I admitted. "But I had you and your mother." That was enough. His expression softened. He reached for my hand briefly. "I didn't mean to pry," he murmured. "I just wonder sometimes how you see people so clearly." I smiled faintly, but my heart skipped. The warmth of his palm lingered longer than it should have. "You learn to listen," I said. "After a while, people stop surprising you." He studied me quietly. "Do they?" Outside, wind brushed through the trees, scattering yellow leaves against the window. The sound made the silence between us heavier, charged. I stood to refill our cups, but when I turned, I found Ethan still watching me. Not rudely, but with a strange, deliberate calm that made me uneasy. And for the first time that afternoon, I wondered what else he wasn't saying. The kettle hissed, sharp and sudden. I poured the coffee too fast. A drop burned my wrist. "Careful," he said, already beside me, catching my hand before I could pull away. His fingers brushed mine, and for a second the whole room felt still. I forced a laugh. "I'm fine." We returned to the living room. The sky outside darkened, the first hint of rain tapping softly against the glass. He moved to the couch and gestured for me to sit. I did. The distance between us was small. Too small. "I used to think adults had everything figured out," he said. "Now I see most of them just pretend." I smiled faintly. "That's the truth. We just get better at acting." "Then you're a great actress." His words hung in the air. Compliment, confession, warning. I couldn't tell. The rain grew steady, muting the world outside. Ethan stood and switched on a lamp. Warm amber light spilled across his face. He looked older than his 26 years, and yet somehow younger, like a boy carrying too many secrets. "Do you ever get lonely?" he asked. I wasn't sure why I answered honestly. "Sometimes, more than I admit." He nodded slowly, almost to himself. "You don't have to be." My pulse quickened. Before I could respond, he rose and walked to the window, looking out into the rain. "I keep hearing things at night," he said quietly. Footsteps on the stairs, a door that clicks when I know I locked it. "It's probably nothing." but it doesn't feel like nothing." The shift in his voice was so subtle I almost missed it. "Have you told your mom?" I asked. "No, she'd worry." He turned to me. "But you believe me, don't you?" There was something in his eyes. Not fear, not quite. Recognition. I set my cup down. "Of course I do." He smiled then, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I knew you would." For the rest of the afternoon, we talked around the subject, but his gaze kept drifting toward the hallway that led to his bedroom. Once or twice I thought I heard something too. A soft thud, like a drawer closing. Maybe it was just the building settling. Maybe not. As the light faded, Ethan offered to cook dinner. We chopped vegetables side by side, laughing at his terrible knife skills. The normalcy felt rehearsed, like two actors pretending the scene was ordinary. When he accidentally cut his finger, I grabbed his hand instinctively. A thin line of red welled up. "It's just a scratch," he said, smiling, but his eyes stayed on mine a beat too long. By the time we ate, the rain had stopped. The apartment felt warmer but quieter, as if the walls were listening. "Thanks for coming today," Ethan said softly. "I didn't realize how much I missed this." "Me too," I replied, and I meant it. After dinner, he walked me to my car. The pavement glistened with reflected light. When I hugged him goodbye, I felt the same uneasy warmth, comforting and unsettling at once. "Next time," he said, "there's something I want to show you." I smiled. "What is it?" "You'll see, just don't come after dark." The way he said it was half joke, half warning. And as I drove home through the mist, his words echoed in my head until the streetlights blurred. When I reached my driveway, my phone buzzed with a new message from Ethan. "Thanks for today. I didn't tell you everything." Then nothing. No follow-up. No call. I stared at the screen, a slow chill spreading through me. Whatever he hadn't told me, I had a feeling I was going to find out soon. In the next part, we uncover what Ethan was hiding and why Clara's visit changed everything. Stay connected with us and subscribe to Whisper of Love so you don't miss the next chapter, because beneath every silence, there's a story waiting to be heard.